Good afternoon, everyone. I was having some tech issues with my sound check, but Dr. Van, I hope you get well soon.
Thank
And
you.
good afternoon, everyone.
All right. Who wants to take over and start the meeting for us?
We have to post a link.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're waiting on posting the link. Okay, good enough. Thank
Yes,
you.
somebody needs to make it go live and send me the link to post.
I thought that would be you, but I guess it must be Jacinta.
Amy.
Yeah, it's the admin running
Amy
it,
or
which is
Jacinta.
Amy. Yeah.
It's
Or
actually
Jacinta.
Jacinta. Okay. All right, Tracy, you should have gotten a link.
Yep, it just came through. Okay, it's posted. Let me go verify it's working.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Live stream. You're good to go.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Miss Alex, are you running the meeting today?
I actually was not able to get the agenda from the cloud share. I requested a reset of my password and then never got a reset email. But if it
All right. Well, let me pull
it's
up the
sent, I
agenda.
can.
Let me get the agenda up. Hold on a minute.
Did you check your spam folder?
Mhm.
You did? Yeah, in cases like that, always contact us and we can go in and change it for you.
Okay.
I'll do that now. Just give me a minute.
All right. And then if you'll give me ability to share, I'm going to go ahead and share. Look, put the agenda up.
You have it.
Can y'all read that?
Okay. I don't have the script I think that we're supposed to use for the opening, but I can certainly call the meeting to order.
All right, well, this is a meeting of the Advisory Committee for Genetic Counselors. If you have any business that you want to add that's not on the agenda, we have to do it before the end of the regular session, before we go into the executive session. And we have a availability of public comment. If you have a public comment, you may email it to publiccomment@lsbme.la.gov. This meeting is being recorded and utilize the live streaming laws of the session of the legislature that changed the requirements, and we are up to date. If anybody does not hear me that's on the meeting, would all of you that hear me signify by raising your hand so I know that you've seen me, or heard me, I should say. Okay, looks like everybody's heard me, so let's move on. And the call to order was done. And Alex, you want to take over from there? You can read what I've got for you.
Sure. Okay. So first off, we'd love to move to approve the minutes if everyone's been able to review the previous meetings minutes. Would anybody like to motion or second
Can
approval?
you guys hear me okay?
Yes,
I can motion for approve.
thank you, Hillary. Is there a second? Hannah, I didn't hear you, so I read your lips.
Second.
Thank you, Hannah. Appreciate it. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. All right, Miss Alex, you're moving on.
All right, so the main topic of today's meeting is really what we need to do or to get any updates on the appointing of a fifth committee member. Two genetic counselors' CVs were submitted to you, Dr. Van, back in June of last year. Are there any updates on an appointment decision from the
I
governor's
sent
office?
those up to the fourth floor, and I will tell you that they move at their own speed. My gut feeling is it might be helpful if you, as the chair, send that email to Ryan Robert, and I have his email address, and I'll send it to you at the end of this meeting.
Great. Okay.
They're just beginning to understand that while we have a board and an agency, we really 15 licensing agencies in one, and that's why I sometimes think they get confused, but we're trying to help them out.
Okay. Yeah, if there's another contact person or some way for us to be involved in the process, that would be better. Because I think, for Nikki and Hillary and I, we're going to, I think, be coming up on some kind of term limit. And so we want to be able to ensure that we've got a smooth process for our replacements too.
All right, well, what I would do, I'll send you Ryan Roberts' email address, and when you send that to him, copy me, and then I'll set a tickler to remind me to start calling him.
And what is Brian Roberts' role?
He is the
Our official
in
title?
charge of all boards and commissions for the governor's office, all the appointments that come through there, so.
Okay. Okay. And any other questions from the other committee members about the appointment process or anything? Okay. And any public comments that we have so far?
Let me check real quick. We have no public comment at this time, ma'am.
Okay. Were there any other topics that need to be reviewed today? That was the only one on our agenda.
Do we have any licensing matters, ladies?
Not that
No.
we've been made aware of. No
No,
other
sir.
application issues.
Okay, just to be sure. Ms. Hawkins,
Yes, sir.
we have no licensing matters that need to be addressed?
No, not at this time.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, well, that covers that part of it. And there's nothing to be discussed in executive session. Just as a rule, as you all are on the advisory committees, are you all having any difficulties with the collaborative practice agreement?
Some are.
All right, tell me what's going
Myself
on and why you're
personally.
having problems. Maybe we can see about fixing them.
Yeah, I think there are some genetic counselors that have had trouble finding a collaborating physician, or there's mix-ups at institutions about what it's really for, and it intervenes with the ability to practice because institutions don't understand that the CPA doesn't really cover that. So I think there's just like muddied waters.
When you say the
Um,
collaborative practice agreement doesn't cover that, what is that you mean?
Like billing and ability to practice. It should only govern test ordering. So there's some institutions that aren't really familiar with the rules and aren't interpreting the rules correctly, or they're just interpreting it in this like overly conservative manner because they're afraid that they're doing something incorrectly, and it's inhibiting a licensed board certified genetic counselor from actually being able to practice.
So my recollection, I'll pull up the rules and law while we're talking, was that as long as y'all are not ordering tests, you do not need a collaborative practice agreement. So
Correct.
what is it that the quote institutions are unquote are having a concern about?
Not really understanding how a collaborative practice with a genetic counselor is different, maybe from that of a relationship with a nurse practitioner, or how a supervising physician is different, like with a PA. So they tend to interpret it more along those lines, and they're worried that a genetic counselor can't practice or bill or document without this CPA because of a lack of understanding. So I mean, I can tell you that at one institution, it took 6 to 7 months of sorting this out just for a genetic counselor to be able to start seeing patients that she could have been seeing without the CPA. She would have just not been ordering testing in her own name. But the
All right,
institution.
let me
didn't
ask you
understand
this. Do you all, would it be helpful to you all if maybe the committee as a whole asked us to put together an advisory opinion that explains how the collaborative, what are the requirements for and how the collaborative practice agreements are used in the area of genetic counselors? We could then put it on our website. And then anytime anybody gives you any trouble, say, this explains it, please go there.
Let's do statement of position instead of advisory opinion.
I'm comfortable with statement. That's great, Ms. Wilton. I love it. You tell me which one to do and we'll do it. Thank you so
Perfect.
much.
Perfect.
Is there a major difference between the two?
An advisory opinion is usually requested by somebody to address a specific fact pattern. And this is more just generally stating the board's position as to when a collaborative practice agreement is needed versus when it's not, and so forth. So if it's more
Okay.
better in the other
Okay.
category.
Now, understand, we can say when it's needed, when it's not needed. We can't get into the issue of who can bill and when they can bill. That's a employment relationship between them and the employer.
Totally. But clarifying that a CPA is not needed to practice independently, because I think there's some people who get, I guess, stuck trying to read through our whole law and rules document, and they just get lost and err on what they know about PAs and NPs, unfortunately.
Okay. Then, unless we have an attorney's advice, Ms. Wilton and I will get on that. Let me do this. Do me a favor, Alex, would you take a motion and have it passed that LSBME put a statement of position on how the collaborative practice agreement works in the area of genetic counselors?
Sure. I'd like to motion that LSBME put together a statement of position as far as the use of the collaborative practice agreement for genetic counselors. Would anybody second that?
I will second that.
Motion
Okay.
passed.
I don't know that you need to see it. If you do, you'll probably have to have a special call meeting on a short notice. I think if
I
you
think
can
it would be nice to be able to review the language before it gets posted.
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand you. I apologize.
Sorry, I think it would be nice to be able to view the language before it's posted.
Okay, we'll do it that way then. So you may have a short notice meeting that you hadn't planned on. Okay,
That's okay. I think we can manage. I mean, Hannah or Hillary or Nikki, have y'all come across any similar issues with CPAs?
I did have someone
I
ask me some questions as well about CPAs recently. I guess it was about a year ago and had forgotten. So I think this is really reasonable.
I have not had issue. However, I've only had two, and one is with Dr. Superno, who knows very well what the deal is, and the other is with a doctor at Mary Bird Perkins, who was very easygoing and just had me explain what it was, and then he said that was fine and signed it. So I have not personally, but I can totally understand that, Alex, like what you've been explaining and seeing that some facilities would have issue with it.
Yeah, and then the physicians themselves were worried about liability, because they also didn't totally understand per
and
what was
again-
explained to me.
Well, that'll be, you'll be able to refer the physicians that have questions to the SOP once we get it up there.
Great.
All right. Well, any other issues we need to address?
I don't think so.
Wow, great short meeting. Thank you all.
All right, and I'll just
We're
look out
usually
for that
pretty
email from
easy.
you, Dr. Van, for Mr. Roberts'
Yeah,
email address, so I can follow up on.
I sure
Jen
will. Take
Jacober's
care in just a
appointment.
minute.
All right.
right,
Well, with
Thank
that,
you.
a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll second. I'll third.
All right. Have a good afternoon, everybody. Oh, and any other comments from the public? I guess.
Let's see, let me go back. And we have no email, no public comment. No public comment at this time. Thanks,
Great.
everybody.
Well, thank you,
Appreciate you.
Dr. Van.